Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off. Online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack. In today's episode, we are joined by a very special guest, former professional hockey player Fred Hein. Fred last played in the 2020-2021 season in the Federal Prospects Hockey League for the Carolina Thunderbirds. Fred played for the Carolina Thunderbirds that season, but he also spent time over the course of his pro career with the Danville Dashers, Evansville Thunderbolts of the SPHL, and a few seasons in Sweden overseas. Fred played his junior hockey days in the ATJHL before playing 2 years of NCAA Division III college hockey at University of New England and 2 years at playing at Becker College before turning pro. So this is going to be a fun episode. So welcome to the show, Fred Hein.
Hey, Jack. How are you, man? Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Doing good here. Everything's going great. Getting ready for the season this coming season. So how's everything with you?
It's going good, man. I just got back from I went on a small vacation. And it was good to just kind of step away and regroup and recharge the batteries. And then I got back last night, so I'm back at work again today. So yeah, things are going good here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good to hear. But to start things off, like, can you give our viewers like a little background information on like when you started playing hockey, why you started, and what youth hockey was like for you growing up in North Reading, Mass?
Yeah, of course. So I started what seems to be a little bit later than everybody else. I didn't start until I was 7. And, you talk to a lot of players and they're like, yeah, I was on skates when I was 3, 4. And, but when I was like 5, 6 years old, even, like, I didn't really like hockey. I was obsessed with like Michael Jordan, and I loved basketball. And I remember my dad played a little bit. He played in high school. And he was like, hey, do you want to play hockey? And I remember I still remember to this day where I was like, no, like, I hate hockey. Like, I want to play basketball. And then I was in the second grade, and a couple of my classmates, like my good friends, joined a street hockey league, or like ball hockey, not even with rollerblades, just running around street hockey. And I did that, and I loved it. And I picked up on it really quick. And then that following year, all those same players were doing ice hockey. So I was like, okay, I'll do ice hockey now. And the rest is kind of history. I fell in love with it right away. And yeah, but I'm from, yeah, sorry.
No, you go for it.
Yeah, no, but I'm from just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in a small town, North Reading. Played youth hockey there. And then as I got older and got better, like, started playing travel hockey, and then played my high school hockey in North Reading as well too, which was a lot of fun. It was different. Times are so different now compared to back then. High school hockey was so good. It was so competitive. Like, I think is it like 7 or 8 of us that played at North Reading High School went on to play college hockey somewhere, and then a couple of players that we played against in public high school are now currently in the NHL and or have played in the NHL too. So high school's changed in the last 15 years here.
Yeah, it's funny that you got a late start, and like everything that came to it is like just starting from street hockey. Like you don't usually hear that, and like everyone's like, yeah, I started skating at 3, like you said, but like it's cool to hear those stories where it's like, yeah, I didn't start playing until like I was a little bit older, and then like I hated hockey, and then like I fell in love with it after street hockey, and like look where
Yeah,
you like your career that it took you on. Like
for
you never
sure. And I
probably would have
think,
thought about that before.
yeah, for sure. And I can't thank my parents enough, because they didn't force anything on me. It was like, if you want to play basketball, great. If you want to play baseball, if you want to play hockey, whatever you want to do, we'll support you. So they let me pick on my own, and they let me fall in love with it. Like my dad wasn't, hey, you have to go to the rink, and hey, we got you these skates, like let's go skating. It was, I never even went like public skating before. I didn't do any learn to play, nothing. When I signed up for like ice hockey, I remember my mom went to a yard sale and got like, there was like a yard sale on the side of the road, and like found all the gear, used gear, right? And yeah, went right into it. There was no learn to skate, no learn to play, nothing. Just full gear skates, and yeah. So
Yeah, so you grew up within like youth hockey and all that. So like, what are some of like your fondest memories of playing like youth hockey growing up all the way up until like high school?
so playing in North Reading was a lot of fun, because it was with a lot of my close friends at the time, and I still stay in touch with a handful of them now. And it was, again, like with travel hockey, and then like how my parents were, they never pushed me to do have to play at the highest level or whatever it was. I always loved it so much, so I just wanted to I wanted to be around my friends and just enjoy it. And then it was like my third year in, where I was doing really well, where my dad was like, hey, we should do get you to a travel hockey, because that's where you belong. So I remember for a lot of my youth, I played like on a travel hockey team, but I also played town hockey still with my friends. And I did that for years, and I loved it.
Yeah, so then you go into high school, and everyone like talks about like the high school glory days, and like how fun like high school hockey is, and like how it's grown since like you were in school. I was in high school, and like so like how fun was playing high school hockey and just being there with the boys?
So much fun. So much fun. I'll never forget. There was like I was I was the only forward to make varsity my freshman year. And I remember there was like a lot of talks like, oh yeah, like, Hein will make it, this and that, whatever. And I was so nervous that it was like just around the time where like composite blades were composite blades were just coming out, where you would put into a shaft. And I was switching from like the composite to wood. And I remember after the first tryout, I was like, I started with the composite, and then I went home that night and I switched it back to the wood blade, because I was so nervous. I'm like, I can't handle the puck. And yeah, I was so nervous going into it, and then it all worked itself out. And so that first year, I dressed in every single varsity game, but I think I maybe got 10 shifts the whole season. They just spotted me in, and I scored 1 goal. And that was fun. I still got that puck, actually. And I played a lot of JV games, and that used to like frustrate me. And my dad would tell me like, hey, if they're going to send you and play JV games, just prove to them that you don't belong there. So I always kept that in my mind, and I'd score, 2 goals and assists, 3 goals or whatever. And I made sure every time I played in the JV game, I was like, all right, like, you don't belong in this level. But that said, there was so many good players, my freshman, sophomore year. So it was like hard to crack the lineup, because there was so many good players. And but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And then as I got older, like my sophomore junior year, I had like a really big role on the team, and And that was awesome. And then my senior year, I was named captain, and yeah, it was just so much fun. Like being a part of that with like all my friends, and then going to school the next day. And yeah, it was just great experience. And there's kind of nothing like it. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, for sure. And like you talk about like going down to JV and like just proving that you don't want to be there and that you want to go up the level. And like a lot of people like are playing lower than what they want. So like what are some of like the tips and the learning experiences you learned from playing down that like helps you just to stay focused and like just do anything you can to make the most of the opportunity to play?
Sure. Well, I think myself included, and like I'm learning a lot now, is everybody has a different career path, right? Um like one of the captain that was with me my senior year didn't make varsity his freshman year, and so he played JV his freshman year, and then made the team his sophomore year. Was captain with me my senior year, and then moved on and played. Moved on and played at St. Michael's College for 4 years, and ended up being a captain there. So everyone has a different path, and don't be so down on yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
just because you're people your age are at a higher level, it doesn't mean anything. Keep going at a steady rate, and make sure you're doing the right things on and off the ice, and it will take care of itself, and you'll eventually be at a level that you want to be at.
Yeah, and it's all about taking the opportunities where it's given to you, and just to be able to do whatever you can to like, whether it be like get wins as a goalie, score goals, get on the score sheet as forwards, defenseman, block shots, like
Yeah.
whatever it is, to just get that opportunity and then just show out.
Yeah, you're just gonna waste your energy. You get sent down, or you're playing at junior B instead of junior A, or go work hard, and prove that if you believe that you're at a higher level, will prove to those people that you deserve to be at a higher level, or you're just gonna waste your time with having negative energy, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But then after high school, you went on to play junior hockey, where you started with the Laconia Leafs in the ATJHL. So, like, what was that season like for you, especially like going from like high school hockey to juniors right away?
yeah, so it was kind of crazy when I was a junior in at North Reading. There was a senior that moved on and played at Bridgeton Academy, which is a prep school in Maine. And I remember, like, I didn't know, like, I just loved the game. So I saw that he was able to like move on past high school and play. So like, I remember saying to myself, I'm like, well, if he can do that, I'm like, I'm as good as him now. Like, I could be able to do that. So I remember asking my parents, and they were like, yeah, sure. Need it for grades and hockey. So I did a postgraduate year at Bridgeton Academy. It was still to this day, one of the best decisions in my career I ever made. I needed it for school. I needed it for hockey. Some unbelievable. The assistant coach there, Mike Meserve, who is now the head coach there, was still to this day like one of the best people I've ever met. He was so good to me. He believed in me, and it was really important step in my career. Going to Bridgeton so I could get my grades up, so that I could potentially move on and move on in my career. That said, when I was there, a lot of players were like moving on from the prep school and going right to college. I wasn't exactly ready yet. I needed to. I had a meeting with my coach at the end of the year, and they said, you can play college hockey, but you need to take a step, take a lateral move and play juniors. And kid who lived down the hall from me, Matt Del Judas, was doing the same thing. And he was like, yeah, like I know the coach in Laconia, and let's drive down together, go to the tryout. And I remember telling my parents, and it was only like 2 hours from the house. They're like, yeah, we'll just meet you there. And went to the tryout. Like, coach really liked me, liked my parents, or met my dad, and asked for our interest. Long story short, ended up going there only because of my friend Matt that I played with at Bridgeton. And it just worked out. It worked out so well. I trained like so hard that summer because I knew that I from what I learned at Bridgeton, I knew what it took, like work ethic wise, what I needed to do. So I
Yeah.
trained so hard all summer. So when I went to training camp, I was like absolutely flying compared to everybody else. And they already had a captain there. And like the end of the week of training camp, um, they asked if I wanted to be the assistant captain. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So that was kind of crazy because I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and that's sometimes all you need is that one guy to trust you and like you, and then like that's where it takes you is to juniors, and
So
then you get a leadership out roll out of it. Like it's awesome.
yeah. So again, to like continue with that is, so I was named assistant captain for, I think it was like 3-4 games. And then we lost our first like 6-7 games of the season. And the captain requested a trade and got traded. And funny story, like we knew that our captain got traded, but nobody even like thought of who the captain would be. And I remember showing up to we had a home game that night, and I showed up to the rink, and our jerseys and everything was laying out in our stall. And I showed up to the rink, and I had the C on my jersey, and they didn't tell me or anything. They just showed up, and the C was on my jersey. And I just remember walking up, and I said, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And they're like, you earned it. This is yours now. So like, go get it. And that night we lost 15-0. Yeah. I'll never forget that. I remember stepping outside the rink, calling my dad before the game and like telling him what happened. So excited, flying during warmups, and we lost 15-0. My first game ever as captain, but it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah. So what do you do to bounce back from that 15-0 W or 15-0 L from as a captain?
I don't even. I'm not even sure what I had said or done or anything like that. But I remember we struggled a lot that first year with players, and then I had done pretty well, and there was a decent core group. And I remember meeting with like the staff, and they were like, "Hey, like you're the glue here, right? So if you stay here, and if you stay here, like people are gonna follow you." And long story short, I signed again for the next season, and I like convinced our core group to come back, and we had a much better season. And guys moved on and played college, and it was a great experience.
Yeah. So like, how important is it to have that leadership role, not only as like an athlete, but like it helps you develop a lot of like skills as well as like a person, and like especially like coming in to juniors in your first year and then getting to see within a couple weeks of the season, like how much does that mean to you, and like what do you learn from that?
Yeah, it's special. I've always throughout my career, like I've always for the most part worn some sort of letter with the teams that I played on. And but even with that, like I don't think you need a letter to lead. Lead by example, and do the right things. And you're you know what to do, right? Like show up on time, be prepared, and like always do doing the right things on and off the ice. And people are going to take notice of that. Like, are you the first one on are you the first one on every morning? Are you the last one off? Are you picking up pucks? Are you making sure the locker room's clean? Are you doing all those little things? You do those little things, and people will notice. And then your play speaks for itself. Like, yeah, it's important. It's important.
Yeah, and you learn so much like skill set as like a person as well, especially you just gotta be like that like vocal leader then, and just like you're able to learn some of those skills.
For sure. And then it just translates to day-to-day life. Being a good person and doing the right things around the rink. It's what you want to be when you go out into the world. Like, you want to hold the door for people, shake people's hand, look them in the eye, say please, say thank you. Doing all those things is important. So it's just a life lesson you learn from hockey that translates to the world.
Absolutely. So then you go into like your second year and you captain the team again, and like you bring back that core group, and you get 46 points, 22 goals, 24 assists, and 44 games. So a point per game kind of guy. So like, what was that second year like for you?
Yeah, it was fun. Like we said, we had a really good group, really good core. And The new guys that came in, like right away, it was like, hey, this is how we do things here. And will follow us, and we're in control of the room. And my coaches there were great at the time, Will Fay and Matt McGilry. They believed in me so much, and let me kind of play my game. And they didn't nitpick things. They corrected when they saw fit, and let me just kind of play how I knew how to play. And very thankful for them, because they saw something in me that other coaches hadn't. So I was successful because they let me play my game. And so I'm very appreciative of them. And yeah.
Yeah, so like obviously like you go into that second year after like so first year, and then you gain that confidence that second year with the team and with like all the core group of guys. Like how big is that confidence, especially like when you have to ride through the highs and the lows and just stay confident, just stay even keel?
For sure. Well, I think a handful of the guys, like it was tough start my first year, because you're getting used to the league and the travel. And first year juniors, where second year you're like so comfortable, right? Like you're not getting used to anything. You've already proven yourself. You can play a little bit more relaxed, and everybody around you like sees that, right? So we're able to do better because everybody felt good going into it, which was nice.
Yeah, and like when everyone's feeling good and confident, like that's when like you notice that the whole like team chemistry like grows, and like everyone's just supporting each other out there, and it's a good old happy family out there.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun there. Made so many like good friends and so many memories that I'll never forget. And we lived where we lived. We had an apartment right on the lake, and so like the first like month of training camp, we would like go to practice, go to workout, whatever, but we'd be done by 1:00. So we'd go and like grill and jump in the water and just hang out, enjoy like the last like month of summer. So had some really good times, and met some amazing people that I still talk to this day. And it's really cool to see some of them, married now, have kids and families and everything. So it's just really special. I met some amazing people my time in Laconia.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome to see each other grow up, especially like when you guys like come together as a family and juniors, and like just to stay connected with them and everything. And throughout all this time, like it's just unreal seeing everything come about, and like how they're doing now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what hockey is. Like it's bigger than the game, and like you just keep those friendships and everything that you learn, because like you're going to battle with the boys like every single day. So that's the friendship and the bond is something unmatched compared to others.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, so then once your junior career concluded, after that year, you committed to play Division III hockey for University of New England. So at the time, like, why was New England the right school for you at that time?
So again, kind of cool story. Back to when I played in prep school, my buddy Matt Del Judas, who I played with at Bridgeton, who convinced me to go to Laconia, he went and played at UNE. So I was in touch with him, and he was like, man, like, just come here. And I was like, okay. I talked to a bunch of Division III schools, and long story short, I ended up going there mainly because of him. I was kind of following his footsteps, and he was kind of leading the way, even though I had the cabinet times. I was watching him. He was leading by example. So he was leading the way for me, and I trusted him, and he's such a great family. And so I owe a lot to him. So I went to UNE.
Yeah, and that comfortability of knowing at least someone there, like it also helps make the decision a little bit easier, because you've played juniors with them, you were at prep school with him, and now you're going to college with him. Like that comfortability and just knowing that you have at least one friend there is a good feeling.
It was easy. And so he went there. So my second year juniors, he only did the 1 year. So we only played juniors together for 1 year. So my last year juniors was his freshman year in school. So he was already there. He was already established, and he was like, you'll love it here. You'll do well here. The coach likes you, etc. So yeah, that was easy, really easy transition for me to do that. And yeah, everything was a good fit, but I got there and things, I don't know, things weren't what I expected and thought they would be. And my college career was a bit different and not what I definitely not what I expected. Just got put in, I just ran into, some coaches that didn't really care for my game. And that was kind of that. They had their favorites and I wasn't one of them. And so my junior year, I was like, I need to make a change. And I went to Becker College, which started out really well. It was like I got there and the coach was nice. All the guys were really nice and really smooth transition. It was close to my home. And then we had a three game weekend. So it was like, I think we played like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe it was just Saturday, Sunday. I don't know. It was 3 games, 2 games, but I remember I had an assist in my first game and then 2 goals in my second game and then nothing in that third game or something. So I started like really well and had all this opportunity. And then that next like week of practice, it was like 4th line. And then that was it. That was it for the rest of my junior year. And then my whole senior year was just 4th line. Again, just ran into a coach, over recruited, brought in so many players and made so many promises. And it is what it is. I didn't do that many things to like kind of help my cause, but you're kind of trapped if in school like that. It's not like juniors or pro where you can just get traded. There's a lot of money involved and it's not like you just pack up and leave, right? Like you got a semester of school to finish and everything like that. But kind of just like leading into all of it, I remember it was my senior year. It was the last game of the season against Curry College at Curry. And I think I had maybe 6 shifts. And I got into the locker room after and, some of the other seniors were crying and I just had like no emotion, right? And the coach came over to me and gave me the game puck and like no speech or anything, just like gave me the game puck. He's like, oh, I figured you'd want this, for your last game. And I was like, last game? No, I was like, I've, dedicated my whole life. I put so much into this, so much sacrifice, everything. I'm like, wait a minute, like this is my last game. Like this isn't right. So I like went home, like finished up school, whatever, went home that summer. And, a couple options were, I just wasn't sure with what I wanted to do or what I could do. I remember a couple teams in the Federal League had reached out to me and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then a guy by the name of Neil Liston put together a group of North American players to go over to Europe to play some exhibition games in hopes to like find a team and, potentially like earn a contract on a team or stay and, figured out with that organization. And so that's what I ended up doing. And I went over to, we started in Finland for like 2 weeks and then we went over to Sweden for 2 weeks. And I ended up finding a team and that first year and it all worked really well. But it was, and I'll never forget that last college game because I was like, this isn't it. Like I put so much into this my whole life that like, I knew something wasn't right there. And so.
Yeah. And like you go like, you learn like a lot of like different like skills throughout college there. And like, what are like some things that you'd say to like other like college students, like going through the same thing with like coaches that aren't like playing them because they're playing like favorites and just like all that?
All it is a matter of somebody's opinion. There's going to be coaches that absolutely hate you. And then there's going to be other coaches that think you're their best player. Right. So that was something that my dad had always taught me, but it was like hard to like understand because I was always doing the right things and I was always leading and, I was always doing the right things on and off the ice. So when things weren't working out in my favor, it was tough for me to deal with. But I mean, I did. And because I knew that I was doing the right things at the end of the day and that, this one coach's opinion doesn't mean much. So it doesn't define you as a player. That's for sure. So anybody listening that, had a tough season or is going through a tough season, or, don't, don't be too hard on yourself with if a coach doesn't like you or anything like that, because it doesn't define you as a player.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, because like when coaches like play like favorites, you're not getting the playing time that you want, like you're gonna get down on yourself and feel bad for yourself. But as long as you're doing like everything you can to at least try to get a shot, like in opinion, like you just gotta do whatever you can to help yourself get better and like help yourself like find that journey to keep going on.
For sure. If you can look at yourself in the mirror and know, you're doing all the right things. You're on time. You're the first player on at practice, last player off. Doing all the little things each and every day on and off the ice. If you can honestly, look at yourself in the mirror and know that you're doing those things, hockey is a really good way of taking care of that, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere along the lines, like, you'll be taken care of, and it will definitely work itself out. If you got to stick with it though, and you have to stick with that routine.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you go throughout college in all 4 years, going to University of New England, then Becker College, and then you get your shot in pro hockey after your senior year, where you went to the exhibition games and you got interest from a team in Sweden, the Hockey Jets. And so like, what was the process like to find the team in Sweden, just like get like the process of like a contract down and everything?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like, we were just going and playing these games, and then some teams would, like, have some interest and other teams wouldn't. But I trained so hard going in before that was coming. I trained maybe the hardest I ever have. My diet was strict. My on ice, off ice, everything I was doing was as hard as you could get. So I knew that I would go and be prepared and ready, and I was scoring every game. I was doing well. And I was like, the whole time I was confident. I was like, I'm going to stick here somewhere. And it took a little bit. But a team finally had reached out and was like, yeah, stay with us. And it took like a month to like kind of figure out the contract. And they had never had an import player before. So that everything with immigration was kind of a pain. And it was a tough process to figure out, but once it was figured out, it all worked out well.
Yeah, it's like, what's the culture shock going from North Carolina and then, or going from Mass to going into Sweden?
Luckily over there, for the most part, everybody can speak enough English where you can get by, but there was definitely some times where you're struggling, right? Like, you show up to the train station, at 1 a.m, because you're getting in from a flight or whatever, and you can't read the signs. Your cell phone doesn't work, so it can be tough. You're searching, you're going to the nearest, McDonald's somewhere just to get the Wi-Fi, just to figure out something, right? And then there's times like you go sit down at dinner. And like, you go to a restaurant and they have like the list of everything, and then off like to the side there's like just like pictures of like a pasta meal or like a piece of steak or something like that. Right? That's what you're ordering, because you can't read the menu. So your options are the 4 or 5 photos that they have. So yeah, there was some good times, but I had a lot of good like Swedish players that I met over there that really helped me with the transition and anything I need. I remember my first year, the captain of the team, I was like kind of down. I was a little homesick. I was there for so long. And he showed up to the rink like in the middle of winter with a Celtics jersey on. And I was like, he was like, yeah, I just, thought that this would make you feel a little more comfortable and like home. And that was like the nicest thing. And I have that photo somewhere. I may have put it on my Instagram at some point, but I still do have it. And just little things like that was special. And I met so many amazing people over there, some amazing players. The level of players is was very eye-opening that first year when I was in Hockey Etten. So it's like their version of our East Coast League.
Yeah.
And there were some guys on our team, like, I was like, man, you should go and you should be in the AHL right now, like back home. But they don't think like that too much. Like they have their families and their culture and their life, and they're taken care of. So their dream isn't so much what our dream is right over here. But I remember just seeing the level of play, and I was like, wow, like, yeah, like you guys, you're good.
Good.
Unbelievable skaters, smooth. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what was the adjustment like going from like North American ice to overseas when it's a lot bigger of an ice and it's Olympic size?
So I was nervous at first because I was like, oh, like big ice, like a lot of skating. No, absolutely loved it. A lot of like less hitting. So you get the puck, you have so much more time and space than you think. You can kind of wheel and deal. Like I really enjoy the skill side of the game, and physical, like when I needed to be, but I wasn't, I can be honest with you. I wasn't, finishing my checks every shift.
Yeah.
Whatnot like that. I don't know. It's, I guess, how I played, and I like carrying the puck. I love making plays, and I was nervous at first. I'm like, oh, it's so big and whatever. But I loved it. Kind of funny, like when I first went over there, I was using, I had custom sticks made, and I had like 110 flex. I was so used to my dad's sticks when I was a kid, and like he cut his halfway down, so they were like 200 flex. And I learned how to shoot with a stiff stick. So when I went over there, I went with like 110. But like as time went on, like because man, you cross the offensive blue line, like you need binoculars to find the net. So I slowly was like going down in my flexes because I needed that extra, flex, like slingshot effect to kind of hit the net. Yeah, to kind of get the puck to really go to the net. So I ended up my second year like switching to 85 flex, and then I was stuck with that my whole life. But it's just kind of funny because I was so used to stiff stick my whole life, and going to Sweden made me change the flex on my stick.
Yeah, that's funny, and like it's just an adjustment at that point because like overseas, like it is a skill, more like skilled, like it's a lot more like passing and just like making that extra pass compared to just shooting it right away, and like it's a lot more like just skill based and like just making that extra play when over here a lot of people
one of my first games, got the puck like just before the red, made a move and just like snapped it in and changed. Get back, coach is screaming, and it sounded like it was directed towards me. And I was like, this isn't good. And I looked at the kid next to me. I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? He's like, never dump the puck again. I was like, okay. Like, they want you to keep it and circle back. And if you have it, don't give it away, right? Because you just have to work that much to fight for it back. So, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a definitely a learning experience there. But before we started this episode, you talked about like doing, or when you went to Sweden, like less is more, and like with like your training and all that. So can you go into detail about like what you meant over when we were talking earlier, and just how you really don't have to be like hammering it in the gym like every single day? Like,
absolutely. So my first year went over there and I did really well. I never saw money before playing hockey, right? Like paid for my living, salary, everything. So you're like, oh my God, like, I was 25 years old. I'm like, sky's the limit. So I'm like, if I work and train at this, can play a long time here. So I remember coming home that summer and I never took a break, and it just went all summer long, like training. There's a couple big hills in my town. I would do sprints, jumps, everything up the hill. Any on ice I could get. Like I was working with a trainer at the time. I would train in the morning, and then I'd play like men's league games at night, tournaments, like everything. I was on the ice like some weeks all 7 days, and I just went. And then when that season started, I didn't do that well. I was like so burnt out, and I wasn't producing, and just didn't feel right. And to the point where at Christmas break, I requested a trade because I wasn't getting the playing time, and that's because of myself. Like I wasn't producing and I wasn't doing well. So I kind of just got buried in the lineup, and I was like, let me get out of here. And I did, thankfully, and went to a really good situation where I was, I got a fresh start, basically what I'm trying to say. And did much better. But I really learned that training process is so important, and you got to less is more. Quality over quantity. Like, make sure you're doing the right things, and listen to your body. Like I would wake up sore and I would go and run hill sprints, and it's like, maybe I should rest, because, come January, February, like, your body's going to need it. Right. So, that was a big learning experience. And again, too, it was harmless, right? Like, I was just doing it because I loved it, and I wanted to keep going, and I wanted the best contract. And it was harmless, but I definitely learned from that.
Yeah, and like the same thing goes for me. Like, over the winter, like my college didn't have a team, so like I was playing like men's league 5, 6. I was on like 5, 6 teams, and I was just on the ice 5 to 7 days a week. But like over the summer, and like now, like going into like my first pro season, I'm just, less is more. Like, I'm on the ice maybe 3 times a week, and like I'm totally fine with that, and just doing like just resting when I need to, and like also while also still going into the gym and all that, but like doing like less is more, and like quality over quantity. Like, it makes a huge difference in your game.
For sure.
Yeah. So then you go into your second year in Sweden, and then after that second year, you come back to North America, where you find yourself in the Federal Prospects Hockey League with the Danville Dashers. Like, what was the transition like going from Division II in Sweden to the Fed?
Well, that year I started in the SB, and then that year was so tough. Because I started in the SB, and then I got sent down to the Federal League, and then I got sent back up, and then I got sent back down again. So it was a lot of travel, and it was just a different adjustment in the game, and it was just a different level. It was just a different level, right? Where, like, if you're an import, they bring you over and they pay you to, like, be the guy, right? Like, you're put in an opportunity where, you're going to succeed, where over here, it's not really like that. Like, you kind of got to earn it a little bit more. And my first year, I really struggled. I did okay, but I was never in a good position in the lineup where I could feel comfortable and like play the game that I like to play. So it was tough. And it wasn't until like the last time I got sent down where I was like, I know I'm not getting called back up. I'm going to be in Danville the rest of the season. Buy into being here and kind of just prove that you don't belong. And I did. I put up some points and whatnot. And then that following year, went to some SB camps, or an SB camp, and it didn't work out. And then, funny story. So I got released at camp, and then went to Danville, and went that weekend. We played, we had 2 games, had 4 points. And then that team that released me called me back up. They said, "Hey, we want you." And I was like, no. I was just there. So I refused the call up, and I stayed in Danville. And it's kind of funny that kind of goes back to that junior, when we were talking about juniors, like the crew of people you're around and everything. And that whole, my second year when I was in Danville was like the best group of players I had ever been around. I still talk to a majority of them every single day. Just played with some unbelievable players, and I had some unbelievable players around me. My line mate at the time, Mitch Atkins, was such a good player. I would always just kind of get open in the right spots. He'd put it right on my blade. It'd be in the back of the net. It was easy game. My buddy Tyler, who I played with in Sweden, same thing. He played on my line as well, and it was just easy game when you're with the right people on and off the ice. So it was so much fun, and I was doing well, and I was getting so many call-ups that season where I was refusing them. I didn't want to leave. And I was like, why, I kind of took a step back in my career where I was like, you know what, I don't want to leave something. What's the right way to say it? Like, if it's not, why, like, don't, sorry, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Right.
Yeah.
So, so I ended up staying, and, I did take a call up to Evansville, and I went for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday games. And then Monday we had a team workout. And after the Sunday game, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I was like, this is great. I appreciate it. But I was like, I miss, like, I miss my, like group of friends that I was, like, starting something with. And, so I went to their coach's room, and I was like, hey, like, thank you so much. But I was like, I got something special going on. I basically released myself, and then went back to Danville. And that was the season that got cut short to COVID, unfortunately, which was tough. But
yeah, and I think that just proves to the bond and like the chemistry within the team is that you don't want to take call ups because you want to stay down in Danville, and like everyone wants to go up the level, but like if you have something special going on, like you don't want to leave it. Like if it's not broke, don't fix it, like you said.
I had already been there. I'd already done that. Like, it wasn't that appealing to me. But I had teammates that were like, man, get out of here. What are you doing? And I was like, no, like, I've been playing for a while now. I've been at that level. It has no interest to me, right? Like, my treatment here, my salary here, everything here is great. Like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to change anything. So I'm just going to leave it. So glad that I did. It was still, best season I've ever had. And it was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the 2019-2020 season, you were named FBHL Forward of the Year. Like, how much does that award mean to you, especially like when you have guys setting you up on the tape and putting it in the back of the end, just being rewarded with such an accomplishment?
Yeah, that was really special. I didn't know it was coming. And I remember, like, it came up on, like, Twitter or something, and the guys had texted me and whatnot. And yeah, it was really, really special for me. I was so thankful, and I never won anything before in my life. So to get an award like that, in a league with some really good players, was really special. It was exciting for me, and I'm proud of that one for sure. My dad has that. He's got a man cave at his house, and he's got that one. And yeah, that one's his, because all my my goal scoring touch and everything I got, I learned in the driveway with him. So yeah, that one's special to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's unreal. So then you go into the 2020-2021 season with the Carolina Thunderbirds. Like, what was playing in the Thunderbirds organization like for you, and like how much did that opportunity mean to you?
That was unbelievable opportunity. The head coach there, Andre Nietzsche, was so good to me. The second I walked through the door, treated me so professionally. Just, it was so great. I played with some unbelievable players there. Maybe the best in my career. Jan Salak and Peter Panachik, like two of the most skilled, like, players I've ever played with. I played on their line the whole season, and I just had some tap-ins some nights where you just go into the net, and yeah,
That's just fine too.
Yeah, I was just very fortunate enough to play with some good players and good line mates, and unbelievable city in North Carolina, winning organization. So they expected a lot, and the fans were so good, and yeah, everything about it was awesome. Everything about it was awesome. Unreal. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you announce you retire after that season. So like, what are you doing now? I know you're training players as well. So like, how's everything going with training players and what the post-career life?
It's going great. So I started my own business, and yeah, I'm running hockey skills training and conditioning, and it's been unbelievable. It's so much fun, all levels, all the way from youth all the way up college, and some professional guys as well too. So it's so much fun for me. to be able to teach kids and players things that nobody ever taught me is really special. So I'm, very thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like what are some tips for players looking to get to that next level and just to keep developing like throughout their career?
Finding there's there's so much training, there's so many skills coaches, there's so much of that going on. Everybody's a little bit different, so find something that fits you and works for you, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't have an Instagram or any social media for mine, and I don't think I'm ever going to, because there's already so much of it, and
Yeah.
I'm not reinventing the wheel, so gonna keep it simple, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's just so much of it out there. So find somebody that works good for you, and um, yeah.
Yeah, and it's always nice teaching the younger generation, the generations before that you didn't get taught in before, and just to have that knowledge and like have them like absorb everything that you're saying. Like it's awesome to see everything that's going on, like the different resources that people have now, and just to help everyone develop their game even more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like everybody has a skills coach, everybody has a trainer. It wasn't really a thing. It
Yeah.
wasn't when I was in college. It wasn't a thing. You just came home in the summer and just played like men's league games. There was no training. It was,
Yeah.
you went to the gym, shot box, and did some things on your own. But now, like, there's skills groups, there's everything kind of going on. So, no, but things are going so well, and I'm very thankful. And it's been so much fun. I honestly was scared when I was retiring, because I was like, am I going to miss playing? I'm so busy, and I'm so focused on what I'm doing now that I honestly don't miss it one bit. I don't miss it one bit. So
Yeah, man, I appreciate you saying everything that you have throughout this podcast episode, but I have a few more questions for you before we wrap things up here. So what's been your favorite barn you've played in your pro career?
oh, that's a good question. So I'll do a couple. So in Sweden, I played against a team, Södertälje. If anybody Swedish is listening or familiar with the hockey over there, they'll definitely know what I'm talking about. I've never seen a rink before, arena with two jumbotrons. So it was and it was my first time playing, and I think there was like 8,000 people there, and like that was my first time. Like that's when I felt like a professional. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
like this is pro. So I'll never forget that one. So Södertälje for over in Sweden, and then the David S. Palmer arena in Danville, Illinois. That was it was older barn, and just so many good memories, and I loved it. Actually, the I'm forgetting the guy's name. Oh, the guy whose name was Kurt. I forget his last name. The guy who did the national anthem in Danville was like, man, we played so many hockey games. We've heard and seen so many national anthems. This guy was unbelievable. I used to get the chills before every game when he would do a national anthem. I wish I had a recording of it or something, because it was incredible. He did such a good job, and that was such a special place for me. And the David S. Palmer.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure we can find it somewhere on the internet. I'm sure it's out there somewhere that we could pull it up.
If I asked, I could maybe figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely have to look that up and see. But the next question I have is what's like your favorite pump up song? Like you're trying to get a lift in, or like you're listening to this before pregame warmies. Like what are you listening to?
Oh, Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue.
That's definitely a good one. Motley Crue's unreal.
So I like being a leader and everything with my time in Danville. Like I never like games played guys, and I never used seniority over anybody. I didn't really care too much for that and whatever. But my one my one request that I wanted when I was in Danville is like the song that we listened to in the room before we go out for warm-ups had to be Shout at the Devil by Motley Crue. And yeah, my roommate at the time was also the DJ in the room, Levi Armstrong, who played the set past season in Columbus. And yeah, he would always get it going. And yeah, I don't know, something about it. It's so good. I really like it.
Yeah, that's unreal. Love to hear it. But we have a few guest Q&A questions that came in, so
Yeah,
let's roll with them before we end this episode.
for sure.
So first question from Greg Hussey. What is it like to be a graduate of a college that no longer exists, Becker College?
Hussey's awesome. Well, Hussey's just won the FPHL championship with his brother in Watertown.
Yeah.
They had a busy year, good year. Yeah, that kind of stinks, because when everybody asks, like, did you play college and whatnot, I tell people I went to UNE because Becker doesn't exist anymore. So it definitely kind of stinks, but the memories are there, and the people that went there, we share the same memories. So
the memories
there,
are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
All right. So then the next question is, how was fighting Justin Schultz when you fought him?
Oh my God, who asked that?
Schultzy.
Yeah. It was all right. I fought a handful of times in my career, and like going into the league that year, he was like their guy. And so like I like to be a little bit of an agitator, like a pain. And I would always give him like a hard time and throw some chirps here and there and left. But I was like, I wasn't going to fight him. He's, way out of my league in that department. And one of the games we were down in Columbus, he threw a hit on buddy I mentioned earlier, Jan Salak, who's he has Carolina's like all-time leading point scorer, one of the top players in the league, top player on our team. And he buried him against the boards, and I didn't like it. And I went right up to him, and I went, like, the play went the other way, and I stopped, and I wwent right up to him, and he's like, you want to go? And I was like, I hesitated. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I really want to do this? And I did, and it was good. And yeah, he got the better of me, but he's so much bigger and stronger than I lost my footing, whatever. He was cool though. Like we were in the box after, he was, he gave me a lot of respect. And yeah, it was, yeah, he's a tough kid though. Tough kid. He's going to have a long career, the way he plays and keeps going, and he's going to do well. So that's funny.
Someone you probably don't want to fight every night, for sure.
No.
Yeah, but the next question is, who did you model your game after?
Oh, Jonathan Drouin of the Canadiens. I love the way he played. I loved his skill. He was just really deceptive, and his skating, and he was low to the ice, and he would always kind of like just throw, like he'd be in a perfect position to shoot. He'd throw a head fake, and then he would go pass and, set people up. I love the way he played. Yeah, he's definitely my favorite player. And I wanted to play like him. So yeah, Jonathan Drouin for sure.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And who are your influences in hockey or outside the game?
Outside the game, like my parents, for sure. My parents, my grandparents, my Nana, they were all like so good to me, so supportive, and look up to them and everything that they've done, and appreciate all their sacrifices that they've done over the years. So definitely them. And then in hockey, well, Drouin for sure. Yeah, I'll probably just kind of stick with him again. I followed his career, and I liked his career a lot because I felt like it not at all, but his time when he was originally in Tampa Bay, where they weren't playing him, and he demanded a trade or he demanded a trade, and they sent him to the minors, and then he got called back up and had like an unbelievable playoff. Went the following season, did so well, and then he got dished to Montreal. So I like his story a lot, and yeah, I follow his career really closely and enjoy him. So yeah, probably him.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then the next one is, as a player, why was style so important for you? It's like, what does a good style mean to Fred Hein?
Oh, everything. You have to, like, on the ice, off the ice, everything you do. Like, there's that saying, like, look good, feel good. That was, yeah, I kind of live by that. It was so important, like how you tape your stick, how you wear your visor, how you have your gloves, and your shin pads and your skates and everything. You got to keep everything tight, and it's got to look a certain way. And style is so important in the game. I've played with guys that just kind of close their eyes and tape their sticks and just go out there, and I couldn't do that. I'm very, very picky and particular with how my equipment is, and how I do things. So it's important to me. And just growing up watching, like, I've always come back to Sergei Fedorov. He was like the first person to me where I'm like, he looks so cool. The white skates, he had the flop on the tongues, the Nike gloves. He had a Nike shaft with the wood Christian blade with the white tape, the flow, the 4500. I could keep going on. He was the first person I saw where I'm like, this is style. This is everything. So
appearance matters on and off the ice.
Yes.
So then the next one is, what do you do to find open space on the ice? It always seems like you would appear to be open in the O-zone.
I don't know. I would always like try to get like lost, and if everybody's like kind of puck watching, like let people puck watch and get to the outside and kind of pick and choose my spots where I can move in and get to an open area.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do, and you score goals from there. So that's what you gotta do.
Yeah.
So then the next one is, what's your favorite bar in Winston-Salem?
Oh my God. That's a no-brainer. The Whiskey Dog. I can only imagine who asked that question. I actually know who asked that question, but yeah, the Whiskey Dog was.
And then that's the bars are the best after games.
Yeah, we had so much fun, and we got treated so well there, and so many good times there, so many good memories. They'll last forever. So special place for me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next question is, why is your shin pad to skate ratio so horrible?
Oh my God, it's not because I wouldn't allow it to be. It's something that's so important to me. It has to fit right, look right. So I don't know who asked that, but they're just messing around.
Yeah, and then but like the skate to shin pad ratio has to be perfect. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's got to look good. I mean, look at like Kucherov, Patrick Kane. Who's another one? Eichel. Yeah, like their shin pads look good. Their socks look good. It's tight. Like they look, Stamkos, another one. Like they look, they're professional. They look the right way, right? It's important.
They look the part.
Yeah, of course. It's part of it.
Exactly. And then this is the final question that we have, and they asked, are iced coffees a must pregame?
100%. Always. Always so important. Even though like at that point coffee doesn't it's not giving you that energy for the game or whatever, but it's just part of that just like lifestyle. Like you grab a coffee and go to the rink, whether it's practice, morning skate, game, like you just grab a coffee and go to the rink. Even now that I'm coaching, you grab a coffee and go to the rink, and it's so important. It's part of it too.
Oh yeah,
it's part of it.
Coffees are big in the hockey world, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
But Fred, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to following your work the rest of the way.
Awesome, Jack. Thank you so much for having me on. This was great. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Take
no
care.
problem. You too.